Hello everyone, and welcome to this all partner training session, a project knowledge session on my future favourites for 2025. So in this presentation, I'm going to go through two books each month of 2025 that I think you guys will love, and so will your customers. Some of these might be new series, some of them might be new titles in well-loved series. And as I go through, the pictures and amount of information available does become vaguer as we go through the presentation for obvious reasons, but hopefully it's enough to get you all very excited about what is to come in 2025. So let's get started. So in January, the two books I chose were number one, Cut and Stick Vehicles. So this is part of a new series aimed at helping young children to develop those early cutting and sticking skills and developing their early coordination, fine motor skills. It's aimed at 3+, and I think it's a fab price because it's only $5.99. So in the book, you get scenes that are like this. And as you can see, there are spaces in each of the scenes that are missing items that need to be stuck on, and it gives you some instructions there as well. Also great in terms of shapes and kids' early knowledge of shapes like triangle, for example. And this is what it might look like when children have stuck on the cutout shapes. Definitely wouldn't look like that if my 3-year-old was doing it, but you get the general idea. And at the back of the book, you have kind of like the sticker books where you've got the perforated bit and you can rip it out so the kids can see the coordinating sticker page and do it more easily. You can tear out the relevant page of the book, then the children can cut round the shapes and then stick them on the pictures to make their own pictures. So I think it's a really fun activity for kids to do. I know my son would absolutely love this book, especially with the vehicle theme. And I think the price point is so great that this will be a really good seller for you guys at your baby and toddler groups and nursery events. Next up is another activity book, and this is the Usborne Scratch Activities Unicorns. And I feel like scratch activities are absolutely everywhere at the moment, but Usborne, as per usual, have definitely done it better. So this is aimed at 6+, and this book came into the office and my daughter has already stolen it and she absolutely loves it. It's $7.99, so another really kind of great price point, perfect for all your school book fairs, I think, or your market stalls. So you have the stick that comes with it to complete the scratch art, which is on the right-hand side of the page. So you'll be able to see the black patches that children can scratch and kind of draw their own decorations. They could scratch out completely, like to scratch out the full flower, or they could scratch different patterns that would show up in the creatures. I think it's really therapeutic as well. My daughter particularly enjoyed doing the unicorn's horn. And then on the other side of the page, you have got activities to do. So for example, decorating the unicorn's wings, colouring them in with your own colours, kind of basic logic questions. And this one's asking you which butterfly is not a pair. So kind of getting children to really think about things and kind of problem solve, logic solve, while just having a really nice time doing it. This is another example. So you've got spot the differences. Again, you've got this sense of logic of using patterns, so kind of early math skills. And again, like spotting the birds, identifying which crown should belong to which unicorn, again, getting children to use their logic skills to make the matches. So I think it's a real kind of multifunctional book that is kind of almost like a younger version of the new puzzle series where you've got the dinosaur puzzles and the deadly animals ones are coming. Kind of like that, where you've got the fun, but aimed at younger children, where you've got the fun scratch activity, and then you've got the subtle learning on the other side of kind of testing children's problem solving skills. So those are my picks for January. In February, these are my two picks. So the first one is Great Big Dinosaurs with Great Big Flaps, as though we don't have enough dinosaur books already, but dinosaurs are one of our best-selling themes month in, month out. My 3-year-old absolutely loves them, so does my 6-year-old nephew. This is aimed at 3+, it's £10.99, and kind of as it says, it's a flat book, so it actually works backwards in time. So it starts with the dinosaurs that were closest to us in existence and then goes further backwards. As you can see, you have got these large, very easy to open flaps. So each page has facts about the dinosaurs that were around in that time period, and then there's more facts underneath the flaps, as you can see, and the flaps stretch out beyond the like edges of the pages, which I think is really nice for kids to really get engaged with. There's not that much text on each page, so it is more appealing to younger children or children that just kind of are almost intimidated or don't like lots of text on the page. So I think it's a really good dinosaur fact, but like a younger version of lots of things to know about dinosaurs, kind of aged down. But I like the format for children in that large picture book style. It has all the dinosaurs you would expect to experience it in it. And then I really like this page at the back of the book, which compares the dinosaurs to each other, gives you the correct pronunciation of their names. There's a QR code to link you to how the names are supposed to be pronounced, and kind of compares them to each other of who was the biggest dinosaur. I just think it's a really lovely, fun, colourful book. Kind of really interactive for children with the flaps element, and I think would just be a great one to have at all your events. Then you have got this one, which I know lots of you will be excited about. So this is Mondays Are Murder. So it is the third book by the author Ravina Guron. This is 12+. So her first one, This Book Kills, was 12+. Then Catch Your Death was 14+. We're back to 12+ with this one. It's £8.99. So all her books are murder mysteries. She's really inspired by like classic murder mystery writing, like Agatha Christie is one of her biggest inspirations. And her books always have really great twists that you don't see coming. She's my 14-year-old niece's favourite Usborne author. I think she's great if you do adult book clubs, great if you do secondary school events. So I think it's really exciting that there's another book that's coming. So I'll read you the description. So 17-year-old Kay left her sleepy hometown after the devastating death of her friend Ivy. But when her parents go on holiday without her, Kay is forced to come back to stay with her cousin. And her return comes with a bang, because when Kay arrives, it's to find an anonymous letter on her bed. The letter tells her that there will be a thrill on Tuesday, a wreckage on Wednesday, treachery on Thursday, a fire on Friday, sabotage on Saturday, a stabbing on Sunday, and her murder on Monday. And if Kay can't figure out who is behind the threats, the worst day of the week is about to get deadly. So I think this book will be phenomenal. They're always fast-paced, super twisty, hard to predict, and I think it'll be a great one for your adult readers, teen readers, and your book clubs. Then we have March. So Grump Fort, I think, will be your biggest selling fiction title of 2024. I think it's one of the most exciting books we've had out in a long time. So it's aimed at 8+ readers, but you could obviously read it to younger children. It's £7.99 and it is a highly illustrated novel. The author, Jamie, is an author illustrator, so he wrote and illustrated this book. And it tells the story of Mo. So I'll read you the blurb, then tell you a little bit more about it. So meet Mo, the worst monster hunter ever, in this hilarious and highly illustrated adventure. Mo never wanted to be a warden. Protecting the village of Bogfoss from the terrifying monsters in the woods is way too scary. But when he's beaten up by a goblin on his first patrol, he knows he has to prove himself. So he sets out into the forbidden woods to catch himself a monster and make himself a hero. Instead, he stumbles into Grump Fort, a secret monster fortress with a very big problem. The fearsome Grump Snatcher is kidnapping the other monsters, and suddenly Mo's on a monster hunt with a troll, a gnome, and a fire-breathing snotwoggle to stop it. So the book is essentially about friendship. And it's about Mo's being brought up in a world where monsters are seen as bad, and he inherits the job when his grandmother dies of being one of the wardens to protect the village of Bogfoss. Then he ends up, and it's a job he never wanted, then he ends up intertwined with these monsters, and he learns that actually they aren't monsters after all. And that you shouldn't kind of judge people based on what other people have told you about them. The monster characters are absolutely hilarious. It's very slapstick in the comedy. It is quite fast paced, so kids aren't going to get bored. It's heavily illustrated. It's not like Dogman or Bunny versus Monster in terms of there being really limited text on each page. It still is a proper book to read, but they do mix up the formatting. So there's like, it is heavily illustrated. There's newspaper clippings, there's comic strip style illustrations telling the story in places, and it's just going to be really, really fab for reluctant readers. And I also think it's great for boys in particular that feel like they're too old for Billy and the Mini Monsters, but they want kind of that added illustration to enhance their enjoyment of a book. So I think this is the answer to any child that tells you they like Loki or Bunny versus Monster or Dogman. This is what you need to be offering them. And I also think parents would much rather buy this because there's a bit more to it. But I think this is going to be absolutely huge for you guys, and I highly recommend stocking up when it is available to you. Also coming in March is See Inside AI. So this is 7+ and £10.99. So if you're not familiar with the See Inside series, they are flat books. I think the great thing about See Inside is I think they have a really broad age span. So I think you could sell them obviously really easily at primary schools, but I also think some of them, depending on topic, would work well at secondary schools too. So I think they are very long lasting and they cover a wide range of topics. AI is obviously particularly topical because everyone is learning how to live with it, use it to their advantage, navigate the world with it. And yeah, this See Inside book is centered around that, which I think, yeah, is something that is on the forefront of everyone's minds. So here are some example inside pages. So it's basically kind of putting the facts to all the questions, all the thoughts, all the views that children might have about AI, and just really explains what it is, how we can use it, what we maybe need to be cautious of, and how it can help us in the future. In April, we have a new fiction title from Geraldine McCaughrean. So Geraldine wrote books like Where the World Ends, Tamburlaine's Elephants. What else did she write? Now completely forgotten the name of her, but The Supreme Lie. And this is her latest one that is set during the Second World War, which is particularly topical in 2025 because you have got the 80th anniversary of the E-Day. So I do think that schools and your customers in general will have World War II front and centre of mind and will want books in relation to it. So it is 12+, so it is aimed much more at your secondary school market. I think it is great to have more books in this age range. So they're not 14+, so you can sell it to kind of the broad span of secondary school. And obviously, depending on kind of parents' views, maybe kind of for children as young as 10, depending on what their parents' views are and what they're happy with their child reading. So this, I'll read you the blurb. It says, with World War II looming, 4 young people sit on a train waiting to be evacuated to a safer place, but they don't want to go. They climb out of the carriage window and head back to Greenwich, forming an unlikely friendship. They spend their days trying to be useful. Lawrence is building a secret machine. Jemmy searches bombed out homes for things of value, only to find an adorable mutt she can't even give away. Franklin wants to join the fire service, although it means lying about his age. Olive looks after her father, who is broken by the deaths of his fellow firefighters. And together the 4 roam the streets of London, discovering their resilience among the secrets of the city. But as the Blitz unleashes a barrage of bombs on London, turning the sky ragged with flame, can the friends keep each other safe and survive? This is actually based on a lot of true stories of what actually happened during the Blitz. And I think it's Geraldine's own father was in the fire service. So it is based on a lot of family history and reality. I think kids, like, there is this fascination around World War II, around evacuation, around the Blitz. And I think it's really exciting that we've got this new book coming out from this award-winning, best-selling, big-name author, great for schools because Geraldine McCaughrean is known as a Carnegie winner. So is going to be a really good one to push to schools. And I think it is nice to have something to offer on the higher end of the age range that is a bit more gender neutral and historically based. I think, yes, like an older version of A.M. Howell, I would say, for children that feel like they kind of have grown beyond that, or a lot of her books are quite feminine to look at, and I feel like this is almost like the older, more gender neutral answer to that. So I was very excited about this book. On a completely opposite scale, we have got this one, Who is the Loudest on the Farm? So this is 12 months plus, and it is £12.99, and it is a new concept that we're trialing, combining pop-ups and sounds. There are more to come in this series in 2025. So you have got a rhyming storyline where all the animals are competing to be the noisiest on the farm. Again, I think farms are just a real crowd pleaser, aren't they, anyway, because kids, one of the first things they learn, or they seem to learn when they're learning to talk, is the different names of all the farm animals, the different sounds they make. It's a sound chip book, so again, really easy for very young children to make the sounds work themselves. So you've got the pig, you've got the horse, and again, the sounds are quite realistic, actually, and it ends with, there are more than 3 animals, this pop-up cockerel, who may not be the biggest, but is definitely the loudest on the farm. And I think it's just that really fun surprise for children that they've engaged with the sounds throughout, and then you have got this final pop-up with the loud cockerel crowing at the end. So I think it's a really fun new concept for a book, and one that will be really great at your baby and toddler groups or nursery events. Over to May next. So with May comes another book set in the Second World War, this time from one of our best-selling authors as a sales division, Jenny Pearson. And this is a draft cover. You'll note from the word draft across it, so this cover might change. But let me tell you about the plot of this story. So for Ronnie in 1939, life is full of battles. On the streets, in the sky, at school, at home. When war comes to London, death falls from the sky at night, and he and his friends collect bits of bombs on their way to school in the mornings. But as war starts to feel normal, his little brother starts acting strangely with new friends and a secret job, and Ronnie worries he's getting mixed up with some bad people. Ronnie can't stop the bombs, but he can try to help his brother by exposing his new gang. But Ronnie isn't expecting to uncover secrets that could change the fate of the whole war. Now, this book deals with a lot of complex issues. So Ronnie's parents are no longer together, and his mother's new boyfriend. There's a whole storyline about him and the rise of fascism during the Second World War, and that sense of prejudice and mistrust of kind of everyone around you. Typical Jenny Pearson style. There's a lot of heart, but she does have this light touch of humour throughout. I think this is going to be hugely popular, like the other World War II book, because of the anniversary of VE Day. Obviously, it is pitched younger at 9+, so perfect for all your primary schools. And again, I do think it's great that we're getting more historical books that are more gender neutral, because A.M. House ones are absolutely fab, but they do feel very female, apart from the Peril on the Atlantic series. So I think this is going to be a really big one for you guys, particularly because of the timing of its publication. And again, I think just this general fascination with what life was like during the Second World War. Then we have got Pia's Pet Club, which I know has been much awaited by all of you. So this is the new series from Serena Patel. So there are others coming in this series. I think there's Kitten, I think there's Guinea Pig off the top of my head. Illustrated by Emma McCann, so the same illustrator as Anisha. So they are 7+, £6.99. They are aimed slightly younger than Anisha, so a little bit simpler to read. And this is all about a girl called Pia. Pia loves pets, but she's not allowed one of her own pets. So she sets up a pet club to try and prove to her parents that they should let her have a pet. So I feel like a classic feeling that so many children have. I know my daughter really wants a rabbit. We've already got a dog, so we won't let her have one. I think that is a real classic thing that children want pets, or if they've already got pets, they want a different pet. So it's something they'll be able to really, really relate to. So Pia loves pets, but no matter how much she begs her parents for one, the answer is always no. But Pia doesn't give up easily. She decides to help her friend Hari train his troublesome puppy Luna to show her parents that she can look after one of her own. But when Luna continues to cause chaos, Pia will need to work really hard to show her how to behave. It's time to join forces with her animal-loving friends and form Pet Club. I realise this is in my way, the bit of the Zoom that I'm... but will Pia ever have a pet of her very own? So I think this is going to be a really great series for you guys. Again, I think it fills that gap in the 5 to 8 age range where I think we don't have quite enough books, particularly at the speed in which children are being read. These books are going through them very quickly. So we definitely needed a new series in that young fiction range. And I think this will appeal equally to boys and girls because of this central theme of pets and wanting your very own pet. So that is Pia's Pet Club. Over to June. So in June, we have got biology for beginners. So this is, I'm not sure which number in the beginners series. We must be getting close to 10 of these books if we haven't already. Chemistry and physics already exist. So yes, this is 10+, they're £9.99. I've found at events they're really, really popular with boys in year 5, 6 and secondary school because they feel quite grown up to read. The original concept of these books was they chose the most popular A-level subjects and they broke them down so that they could be more easily understood. But I think they age up really, really well. The design is fantastic. And this goes through the subject of biology. Again, please note the draft sign. So this is just an example of a spread. This might change, but they've looked at chemistry, they've looked at physics, and now they're completing the science set with biology, which I would argue is probably the most popular of the 3 sciences. So it really goes into depth about that topic. So what it is, all the key elements and parts of it, why it's important to learn about it, and gives children a really, really good overview. And I think this series is just brilliant because it doesn't patronise and it allows children to really study in depth the topic that they're really interested in, and to choose those topics and to explore them. So yes, these are some example spreads from this book, but I think it will be a good one for you. Also, any child that tells you they're interested in animals, that is slightly older, I think this would again be a good one to recommend. Next up is a book that does not yet have a confirmed cover, but I think it is a book that will be really popular, which is why I wanted to talk to you guys about it. So this book is How to Get Magically Popular. So it's the second book we're publishing from Radhika Sankani. So she wrote The Girl Who Couldn't Lie. And her books are for kind of like a similar target audience to Tamsin Winter, but they're slightly younger. They cover less. Tamsin's books, I think, have got older in theme the more she's written. So I know they're a challenge for you guys in terms of your primary school book fairs and which ones you take and which ones you don't. This is your answer to that, I think, for girls that want Tamsin Winter, but are maybe slightly too young for it. So this is How to Get Magically Popular. And here is the plot. Sabina's feeling out of place at her new school where she has no friends and everyone has more money and fancier clothes than her. Then she finds another reason she can't fit in when she accidentally unlocks psychic powers during a meditation class in PE. Now Sabina can see visions of the future and she quickly becomes one of the most popular girls in school, with everyone desperate for her to predict their test answers, prom dates, and class election results. But when she starts seeing futures she'd rather not know about, Sabina's not sure if she's unlocked a gift or a curse. How can she learn to be happy in the present when the future keeps trying to take over her life? So similarly to The Girl Who Couldn't Lie, there's a lot of magic realism in this book, but it does feel, although obviously you've got the strand about her seeing into the future, same with the magic bangle in the other book, it feels like you're reading a very everyday book with a magic spin rather than a fantasy book with a bit of everyday life muddled in. And it deals with all those classic things kids are going to all the time, going through all the time, like school, like friendship, like trying to fit in, like finding yourself. And I think Radhika deals with these themes really brilliantly, and she really kind of gets that child-centric narrative, that first-person narrative. So for anyone that is telling you they like more realistic books, they like the more diary-style books, like fans of Lottie Brooks or Dork Diaries, How to Get Magically Popular is your answer to that, I think. Feels slightly older than Sunshine Simpson, but younger than Tamsin Winter's books. So that's kind of where it sits. And I think it is an absolute must have for all your school book fairs. Into July, we have got a new book in the Adventure Game Book series. Again, this is a draft cover that might change, which is Stormquest. If you're not familiar with Adventure Game Books, because you're a newer partner, these are absolute must-haves for every single event. So these are the books where you play the role of the character and you decide what happens to them. So as you're reading through, you'll get choices of what you want to happen to your character. You make the choice and you go to that corresponding page in the book. So you're not reading it in order. So it's like a game within a book to see if you can help your character survive and solve the problem as they go through the book. These are hugely, hugely popular. And as soon as you explain the concept to kids, they absolutely love it, this idea that they get to pick what happens in the story. And it's great value because you can read them over and over again. So I think like really great value for parents. So this one, the plot is, do you have what it takes to sail into the eye of the storm? Prepare for terrifying sea monsters, waves the size of mountains, and a desperate race against time as you try to find the only thing in the world that can save the person you love the most. With an exciting dice-based combat system, complete with a link to an online dice roller, beautifully illustrated puzzles to solve, and a heartfelt story full of twists and turns, this interactive adventure will have you gripped from beginning to end. So another absolute must-have, I think. And one of the things I've noticed at book fairs, kids told me they really love Shadow Chaser because it's very obvious from the title and the imagery what it's about. And I think this fits that same bill. It is very obvious from Stormquest and the images on the cover what it's going to be about, which I think will really appeal to kids. Also coming in July is Cruise Ship Kid, which I know our fiction director is very, very excited about. Again, this is a draft cover, so it might change. So this is a new series by author Emma Swan, and I'll read you the blurb. Silver is 10 and a quarter and lives on a cruise ship. She loves hanging out with the gang, a group of old people holidaying on the cruise. But what Silver would like more than anything else is to have a best friend her own age. When a very expensive watch belonging to one of the passengers goes missing, Silver is sure that if she catches the thief, the new girl on the ship, Yana, will be her best friend. Silver just needs to change some other things about herself too. Oh, and she's definitely not a detective. That's very important. But as Silver's investigations into the suspects, people who might have done it, progress, another watch goes missing, and her friend Pedri, who works on the ship, is accused of being the thief. Silver discovers what friendship really is. Maybe she's had it all along. So Silver, I think this is based on well, not literally in terms of the thievery and the like detective work, but I think the author grew up on cruise ships, which is where the concept of this came from. You've got this hilarious group of old people that Silver is friends with, and really likes hanging around with, but she feels like she should have friends her own age. And then she meets Yana, but Yana essentially tells her she needs to change everything about herself for them to be friends. And she learns as the book goes on that she's great just the way she is, and your real friends would love you for exactly who you are and not try to change anything about you. Full of humor, full of mystery, full of adventure. I think would appeal to kids who like the concept of peril on the Atlantic but don't want the historical fact, because it is very much modern day mystery. Rebecca described it as being like the Richard Osman books, but for children. So if you're into those books, I think this would be a great one to add to your to be read list. And I think it's just fun, adventurous, light-hearted, again, dealing with issues of friendship that children face all the time. Kids love old people in books, don't they? I know a lot of children love Grandpa Frank for that very reason. So I think will just really appeal to kids, particularly at book fairs. Into August, we've got a new book in the 24 Hours series. I always think this series is phenomenally good value. It's $7.99. I always feel like it should be a $9.99 book, and kids absolutely love this series. So if you're not familiar with it, the concept is you literally spend 24 hours in a location. So other ones include like space, the Stone Age, the ocean, what else is there? The zoo, the Antarctic. So you are taken on a journey across that place through a series of characters, and you literally spend 24 hours going through that location. I feel like the wilderness is a source of fascination for kids, and for any fans of like Bear Grylls, this will definitely be the book for them. It's comic strip graphic style, so a real easy read, and I think it really balances nicely fiction with fact, so you feel like you're reading a story but you're learning a lot as you go through it. And I think just the format of it really appeals to kids because it doesn't seem daunting to work your way through this book. So this is about a family that go into the wilderness, and then their canoe with a lot of their supplies sails away because it's not properly tied to the tree. And it's about how they survive in the wilderness, making the most of what is all around them. So there's loads to learn about survival, which again, I think kids are fascinated by survival tactics, by the wilderness, by the kind of big, wide, open world. And I think it's just a really great one to add to the series, particularly for kids that maybe aren't so into really specific topics. I think it's much broader, and yeah, I think would appeal to a lot of children that are into Bear Grylls and survival skills. On a completely different angle is this one, which is again very much in draft progress, but this is a new concept called Turn the Wheel. So you can see along the right hand side of the book there is a wheel to turn, and you use that wheel to feed your monster as you work through the book. So this is aimed at 2+ children, and it's $7.99, so a really great price point for you guys to easily select your customers. And as I said, the concept is your monster's really hungry, and you have to turn the wheel to feed your monster. So it's this really fun, interactive story, immersive storytelling experience for you and your little one. And yeah, each page is just about feeding the monster something else. So I think it's a really fun, novel concept, which will be a great one for you to showcase at your baby and toddler events. Into September, we have got so a new series in the adventure game books category. This is Usborne Mystery Game Books. So these are pitched younger than the adventure game books. So they are easier to read. The puzzles are easier to solve. but it is that choose your own. It's not like a puzzle adventure where you follow it through in chronological order, solving the puzzles as you go. It is that choose your own adventure setup where you are the character and you choose what happens to the characters, but it's just shorter, simpler than the adventure game books. So I think these are going to be absolutely massive for you guys, particularly at your school events. Again, great price point of £7.99. So this is the plot of this one. Get ready for heart-pounding chases beneath the full moon, mysterious figures lurking in the woods, and fun picture puzzles to solve in this spooky adventure where every choice you make leads to new twists and turns. Everything seems normal when you arrive at your grandma's house deep in the woods until night falls. The shadows start creeping closer, and eerie howls echo through the trees. Who or what is lurking in the woods? And why does Grandma's dog keep barking? With exciting picture puzzles to solve and a story packed with spine-chilling scares, this interactive adventure will keep you turning pages if you dare. I think spooky books are hugely popular with kids at the moment. The concept of adventure game books is hugely popular. And there's a whole kind of age range of children that would love the adventure game books, but just maybe slightly too young. So I think this is the answer to those. I think this is going to be massive for you guys. Again, this is draft cover, so it might not look like this when it comes your way. Next up is Animal Records, so longest, loudest, brightest, and more records. So this is aimed at 7+ and is £10.99. Again, I think you could age it down with children if you're reading it with them. Kids are fascinated by animals, I think, and the amount of children that when I've asked them what they're interested in at book fairs have told me animals, but they've almost been too old. They're too old for like the peep insides and the see insides, not the see inside, sorry, the peep insides that are focused on animals, or they don't really want the like beginners series where they'll cover one animal at a time. So I think this will really, really appeal to a lot of children. So it's a flat book and it goes through different categories, and each page is full of facts to be revealed under the flaps. And yeah, so this one is covering the deadliest animals with lots of information about those. You've also got pages on the rarest species, which I think is always fascinating for kids and slightly sad as well. Rarest individuals, again, is super, super interactive, getting kids to kind of explore what's unique about all those different animals. And it really kind of gets them to open the flaps and engage with their reading and engage with their experience of learning about all these animals. Then you've got all the fastest animals as well. And again, you can kind of see this like race track almost of how quickly the animals are going to get across it, and covers air, land, and sea. Loads of familiar animals, but some more unusual ones as well. And it's not just covering speed, it's covering things like fastest heartbeat, punch, fastest tongue, fastest jaws, fastest bird wings, fastest snake sidewinder. So many fun facts that kids will love reading about and sharing with other children in their class and their teacher. Into October, where we are obviously hitting up Christmas. So a new book in the very popular Usborne Sounds book series. So this one is focused on jingle bells. So again, you've got the sound chips that children can press to make the sounds work on each page. I know both my children have absolutely loved sound books, and particularly when they were a little bit younger. This is aimed at 1+, £12.99. So a great way to build up your active orders by selling books at the higher price point. So you've got this lovely short storyline throughout that is added to by the different sounds on each page. Again, these are draft pages, so the book might not look like this on completion, but I wanted to show you guys the kind of basic idea of it. So I think this will be a huge one for you guys to sell in the run up to Christmas, and just feels really festive and sweet and fun and lovely, and just a really nice experience for you to enjoy this book with a small child. Continuing on the Christmas theme, we have got There, Little Rainbow, Little Reindeer. This is from the relatively new series where we've had There, Little Bear and There, Little Puppy. There's also Bunny coming, and this is Reindeer, so a lovely Christmas one. I think these books are really, really good price point at just £7.99, and the whole concept of them is encouraging children to be really empathetic and kind. So you go through the book and something happens to the animal on each page. Yeah, there's no spreads for this one yet, so I'll just talk you through the concept of the book. So each page has a little touchy-feely patch and something has happened to the animal, and you're encouraged to stroke whatever patch to help them feel better. So it's a lovely, cuddly bedtime story for children, just to practice those skills of empathy and kindness, and if someone is hurt, doing what you can to help them feel better and comforted. So I think it'll be a really, really sweet one for the run-up of Christmas. Into November, we have got a new Don't Tickle, which I think has an absolutely exceptional front cover, which, to be honest, I think if people don't buy this from the cover alone, I don't know what's wrong with them. This is Don't Tickle the Turkey, and just looks like an absolute riot throughout the book. The turkey sound, I heard it kind of in a draft motion, was just absolutely ridiculous. And I think the parents will be buying this for personal use, I think, in the run up to Christmas. Also feels festive, but because of the, I think, colouring of it, kind of feels festive, but not ridiculously festive. So I think you could enjoy this year round as well. So if you're not familiar with Don't Tickles, they are sensory books where you stroke the soft patches, and when you do that, the sound comes out as well. They were produced after my daughter's time, but my son absolutely loved this series, and all his little friends have loved it too. So I think it's just a really fun, interactive book. A little bit of a shock for children, I think, the first time they stroke the patch and a sound happens. And the last page of the book features a sound chip, which is a medley of all the sounds put together in like a fun, light dance style piece that children can dance along to, which that was the one element of the books my daughter particularly enjoyed, reading them to my son and then dancing along to the song at the end. So I think they're great for a sibling duo to enjoy together too. And the final book to show you, because we've got nothing for December, is again in draft form. I have no plot to share with you, but I just thought I should share this because I know how many of you are Anisha fans, and this is Christmas Anisha. So Anisha Accidental Detective, Christmas Chaos, all your favourite characters, Anisha, Milo, Anisha's dysfunctional, huge family, and I think will just be full of laughs galore, perfect for kids to enjoy in the run up to Christmas. And I think actually it's a real kind of gap in the market for a fiction book appealing to that age range that is Christmas themed. Obviously, you've got Snow Girl and Operation Nativity, but they're a bit older and a bit longer. So I think this will be a really fun one to read with younger children in the run up to Christmas. Great one for all Anisha fans. And I know how much Serena Patel really wanted to write a Christmas book. So I'm glad those dreams have become a reality. So I thought this was a fab one to end on, that we're not done with Anisha. Christmas Anisha is coming. Thank you very much for watching this product training video on 2025 future favourites, and really looking forward to seeing which one of these become your bestsellers next year.